My name is Alan Roy. I'm a Director of Engineering here at VMware, and I work on our new VMware Kubernetes Engine product, or VKE for short. Today I'm going to tell you a little bit about our access policies and how we can allow you to control who has access to your Kubernetes clusters. Before I show you who has, how to control that access, I first need to show you how we organize our clusters. So when you come and join us as a customer, you become part of what we call an organization or an org. And this org will contain all of the people from your group, whether it's your company or whatever it is. And within your org, you can subdivide that org into many, many clusters. But you can also put your clusters into a hierarchy. So for example, you can divide your hierarchy into what we call folders. These folders might correspond to a business group or a research group or a product group. It doesn't really matter. It's up to you, which is why we chose the generic name of folder. Within a folder, you can put your projects. You can put your clusters into projects. So I can have 2 projects here, or as many projects as you like, of course. And of course, over here, I might have some other projects. And within a project, finally, we've got clusters. So I'm going to abbreviate this for lack of space, cluster 1. And I've got cluster 2. Now, within a Kubernetes cluster, of course, you might be familiar that you can also have something called a namespace, which allows you to break up or subdivide a cluster itself. So within this cluster, I might have a single namespace or a set of namespaces. Generally, in Kubernetes clusters, it's a lot of namespaces. Great. So now this is our overall structure that we can have to organize all of the clusters you've got. And you can have a lot of clusters with as many projects and as folders as you like. Now we'd like to give access to a user. Let's say we've got a user named Alice. And perhaps my folder 2, is the business unit that Alice is in charge of. And Alice should have access to all of the clusters within her business unit. So I can make something called an access policy, which I'll indicate with just a little box here. And I'll say that Alex has the ability to edit smart clusters. Yeah, I ran out a little space there, but this is smartcluster.edit. So smartcluster.edit means that she has the capability of editing a smart cluster. Now, the interesting thing about the way our policies work is that they are inherited all the way down this tree. So if I grant Alice access to folder 2, she also has access to all of the clusters in project 1, all of the clusters in project 2, all of the clusters in here, all the way down. And if there are clusters under project 1, she has access to all of these. So all of these clusters are, Alice now has permission to edit all of those clusters. Now, I don't have to give her permission on a single folder. I could have given her access perhaps to a project. So on this project, let's make another policy. And we'll give Bob, we'll give him smartcluster.edit privileges. And Bob will get access to all of his clusters within this project. So Bob just has access to the clusters in this project, while Alice has access to all of the clusters within this folder. Now, I might even have a third user, and this third user might have access to just one cluster. So because user Alan is not a very important user, Alan just gets access to this one cluster here. So overall, what we're showing you is that the access policies are defined in one place. They're inherited all the way down the hierarchy of clusters that you've got, and they make it very easy for you to grant users access. So for example, when Alice is given access to folder 2, she's given access to all the clusters in here. If I remove Alice from folder 2, her access to all of the clusters is also likewise removed. To clarify 2 interesting points here. So the first thing is that we've got a fairly rich set of access policies you can have. Here I just showed smartcluster.edit. Of course, there might be a lot more policies like being able to just view a cluster, or maybe being able to access folders and projects themselves, or to be able to control the actual ability to set the policies. So there's a rich set of policies that you can apply. The next thing to know is that these policies are not merely a VKE construct, but these policies are actually pushed into the Kubernetes cluster. So if we take a look at our cluster, in this cluster here, we have a cluster. So I'll call this cluster 3. This is the actual Kubernetes cluster we have. And you need to configure Kubernetes role-based access controls, or RBAC, to actually allow access to a cluster. So these policies are pushed not only through VKE, but will actually configure the RBAC policy within the cluster. So when Alice comes back later and she wants to access a cluster, Kubernetes itself will actually verify that she has access based on the access policies that we provided for her through VKE. Okay, and that's how access policies work in VKE. For more information, you can go to our website and learn more about the VMware Kubernetes engine.